as predictably as day follows night. It's election season, and gun owners are being stabbed in the back once again. Once again, our rights are being threatened by candidates who absolutely refuse to fill out a survey telling gun owners where they stand. Guys, we have received some news here at the Minnesota Gun Rights headquarters. I'm sitting here right now in Northfield, Minnesota, 1064 Highway 3 South, swinging anytime Monday through Saturday, pretty much all business hours, and a few hours earlier and a few hours later. Guys, we were given some information today. It's what we expected. It's what we suspected this entire time. And we need to tell you guys what's happening right now here in the state of Minnesota. It's election season, as you guys know, in just over a month, August 14th, the Minnesota primaries are going to happen. And now we need to know, you need to know, gun owners need to know where candidates stand on gun rights issues. Where do they stand? Are they going to do anything for gun rights? Are they going to be milquetoast? Are they going to be a bunch of losers when they make it to St. Paul? Or are they actually going to fight for gun rights? Robin says, hello, guys, let me know where you're watching from right now. I'm going to give you this information that we've got right here that we were given today. This is not surprising in the least. This has happened before. It's very important that gun owners know, get the skinny on what's happening right now. Guys, we were told today, and again, it comes as no surprise, seeing as who the arbiter is of this, that Speaker Daudt, our beloved Speaker of the Minnesota House, the stalwart defender of gun rights, has once again sent out a letter, an email to everybody running for the Minnesota House telling them, do not fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. The so-called pro-gun Speaker of the Minnesota House, the great Kurt Daudt, is telling everybody who's running for office, whatever you do, fill out the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus questionnaire. Do not fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey. Guys, the reason he's doing this, and we've seen this time and time again, he's doing this because our organization, our members, our supporters, you guys, and the tens of thousands of gun owners who work with this organization hold elected officials accountable for their actions during election season. We've been stabbed in the back. Gun owners have been stabbed in the back so many times by so-called pro-gun legislators. And what they want more than anything is to not be on record. They don't want a survey filled out. If we have their name on a survey, if we have their signature, if they stab gun owners in the back, we can go into their district and say, here it is. Here's a survey that was filled out by Representative so-and-so. He said he would do this. Take Lyon Scott Jensen, for example. He said he would defend the Second Amendment. He said he would oppose universal gun registration, and he sponsored the bill himself. If we don't have surveys from these candidates, then all we have are verbal promises, right? You shake hands with a candidate walking on the, in a parade sometime this summer, and they say, I got your back. I'm a gun owner. Got your back. I'm pro-gun. Give the thumbs up, the wink, the smile, the thing they like to do. And next thing you know, they're in office and they're sponsoring gun control, and you're left going, what the what? You said you were pro-gun. Well, you know what? If they don't fill out the survey and answer these specific questions, we don't know where they stand. And Speaker Daudt is once again telling them, do not fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. Now, we've got a few surveys in already. Just a few. We're going to get those loaded up on our website so you can see who has filled it out and who has not. But as we were expecting now, a whole bunch of incumbents, most of the incumbents in the Minnesota House, are refusing to fill out our survey because they want to be able to attack gun rights or do nothing for gun rights, which is often the case. And they want to do nothing and get away with it. They don't want us to be able to say, you promised gun owners, you swore in writing on paper specifically that you would support stand your ground, constitutional carry, that you would oppose universal background checks, red flags orders, and the like. You swore you would do it. Now, if they don't fill out the survey, they can sit there and go, hey, I didn't promise squat. And you guys, I want to tell you a story real quick. Case in point here. During the 2014 election season in House District, I think it was 56B, one of Michael Bloomberg's biggest stooges, Will Morgan, he was sponsoring all the gun control in the House back in 2013. He was the main bill sponsor in 2013 in the Minnesota House. Well, then candidate Roz Peterson was running against Will Morgan, and she filled out our gun rights survey 100% back in the day. So this is during the 2014 election cycle. And of course, we did what you guys give us money to do. We do what you guys want us to do. We went to war in that district. We exposed Will Morgan for the anti-gun piece of crap that he was. We ran our radio ads. We ran all of our programs, door-to-door lit drops. We went whole hog in that district because we had a survey filled out from Roz, said, I'm going to fight for the Second Amendment, and Will Morgan had a dreadful gun control record in his time in office. So we went to war in that district. After the elections were over, Will Morgan got his butt kicked out of office by angry, mobilized, motivated gun owners in her district, or in his district rather, and Morgan was gone, and Roz Peterson became the new representative in House District 56B. No sooner had that happened when we went and met with Roz in St. Paul and said, hey, hey, congratulations on your win. We're glad to see there's no raging anti-gunner now representing House District 56B. And do you know what she told us? You know what she told us? Because we knew in 2014 that Speaker Daudt, who was not the speaker at the time, leadership was saying, do not fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. And so our director, Chris, said, hey, we want to thank you for filling out our survey, for being willing to go on record, for being willing to stand up for gun owners, and hey, put your name on paper. That's more than a lot of people are willing to do. And she said, Mick says 15B, no, 56B is the story I'm talking about right here. She said, get this. This is what Representative Roz Peterson told us. She says, she said, I had no idea that gun rights was such a big issue in my district. I didn't realize that this was something worth fighting for. And she said, to be totally honest, the only reason I filled out your candidate survey is because it was one day later when I got the email from House leadership saying, don't fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey. She said, if I had gotten that email, I would not have filled out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. So she filled it out, being naive, and she has since done very little on behalf of the Second Amendment. And she told us, yeah, I got the email from leadership saying, don't fill out the survey, but I had already sent it to you guys and there was nothing I could do. Yet gun owners are the only reason Roz Peterson is even in St. Paul in the first place. And yet they refuse to fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. And here we are again. We have just a handful of surveys, just a couple, that have been filled out by candidates running for office here in the Minnesota legislature for the Minnesota House. And Kurt Daudt is telling everybody, don't fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. And you know what? We expect no less from a quisling coward like Speaker Daudt, who does nothing on behalf of the Second Amendment, refuses to pass stand your ground and constitutional carry, killed both bills in his tenure so far as Speaker of the House, was having a lot of conversations about passing gun control last session, maliciously attacks gun owners and gun rights organizations on his personal Facebook page. Petty, 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 petty. This guy is no hero of the Second Amendment, and here he is once again flying in the face of gun owners and telling everybody, don't fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but if it were me and I was running for office, especially as a newbie, you know, not an incumbent, if I got, you know what, never mind, it doesn't matter. If I got a letter from leadership telling me don't fill out this survey, and I'm a pro-gun guy, if I believe in the Second Amendment, if I intend to fight for the Second Amendment, I would be filling out the freaking survey. I would want every single gun owner to know where the heck I stand on the Second Amendment. I would be loud and proud about my support of the 2A. And the fact that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of so-called pro-gun representatives in the Minnesota House who absolutely refuse to fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey, this is just indicative of everything we saw last session. Republican majorities in the House and the Senate not willing to do a dang thing on behalf of gun owners and pushing for gun control. Many of those so-called pro-gun Republican House members were pushing for gun control last session. Yeah, now they won't fill out the candidate survey. So guys, I'm asking you right now, if you know who your candidate is, contact them and say, did you fill out the MGR survey? I want you to fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey. Put your name on paper. I mean, if they won't sign their signature to a survey, how on earth do we think they're going to have the courage, that they're going to have the spine to stand up in St. Paul and actually vocalize their support for gun rights, actually stand up against gun control and fight for the rights that make our country so freaking phenomenal? If they don't have the spine to put their name on a piece of paper, what makes you think they're going to do anything for us once they get to St. Paul? The truth is, they basically don't. They don't do anything for us when they get to St. Paul. They file right along in lockstep with the speaker and with his leadership team. They do exactly as they are told. And that's just unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. These people are our representatives. It's their job to represent our interests, our wishes, our beliefs are to be represented by these people in the halls of the state capitol in St. Paul. And for them to refuse to fill out the gun rights survey and but still march around and say how pro-gun they are is absolutely unconscionable. So guys, I have a link on top of this video. In fact, I'm going to drop this link right here in the comments section. And you guys can print it off. Print this survey off. Click here. I'm going to type this in here quick to print this off. If they won't fill out the survey, then we can't rely on them to stand up for the Second Amendment. So right here in the comment section, guys, I'm putting a link to this candidate survey. You can print it off of our website right now and pass it to your candidates in your district. You know, they're doing meetings, they're doing town halls, they're in parades all the time doing this crap, wanting to gin up support for their race. Give them this survey and tell them to fill the dang thing out and send it back to Minnesota Gun Rights and put their name on paper. Here, I just pinned it in the comment section. You can print it off right there off our website, give it to them, tell them to fill out their survey. And guys, I have to say it again. These candidates are going to run around all day long. If you confront one of your candidates and say, did you fill out the MGR survey? You'll likely hear something like, I filled out the NRA survey. Or they'll say, I already filled out that survey from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. I already filled theirs out 100%. So that proves my bona fides, and you can know that I'll be pro-gun because I filled out the Gun Owners Caucus survey. You guys, that cannot be relied upon not one tiny little bit. We've seen this over and over. Gun owners know this. The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus is the establishment St. Paul gun rights organization that works for House leadership. They work for Speaker Daudt. They work for his team up there. They love their position with them. And so everybody gets endorsements and A ratings from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, because at the end of the day, they will not attack anti-gunners in their districts the way Minnesota Gun Rights does, because they have friendships to maintain. Of course, this is not just hearsay. This is not a load of crap. We saw this in 2016, the last election cycle. They gave anti-gun state senators like Rod Skoy, Lyle Coonan, DFL anti-gunners, gave them A+ ratings and endorsements when they were running for office against solidly pro-gun state senators or candidates at the time. I'm talking about Rod Skoy, Lyle Coonan in those districts, anti-gun to the core, voted to kill the best pro-gun bills, and they got the endorsement from the Minnesota Gunners Caucus. And so whatever stick they use to measure these guys with is skewed as heck. It's not what gun owners like. It's not what gun owners want. We want solid pro-gun representatives in St. Paul. We want people who are going to fight for the Second Amendment. We don't want endorsements to be going to anti-gun scumbags who voted to kill all the pro-gun bills. So, you know, the letter, the email, this is what we're told, the email that went out and said, don't fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. On the flip side, it said, do fill out the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus survey. Fill out the one, don't fill out the other, because they know without a shadow of a doubt that the Gun Owners Caucus will protect them, will endorse them, will give them what they want at election time in order to have a little seat at the table and hold hands with politicians in St. Paul. Guys, that's not how Minnesota gun rights operates. We don't give a rat's tail about friendships with anti-gun, backstabbing politicians. We don't care. That's not why we're there. We are there to fight tooth and nail, to defend and advance our Second Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights. That's why we're here. That's what we exist for. If we were giving endorsements to anti-gunners, if we just said, hey, you know, Will Morgan, you know, you can just keep that district, then we'll never get anywhere with our Second Amendment rights. So if your candidate is claiming to be pro-gun, ask him, have you filled out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire? Guys, by tomorrow, we're going to have anybody who's filled out this survey, their results are going to be on our website under the Elections tab on top. Actually, it's on the bottom of this link that I put right here. You scroll to the bottom, it has everybody's name and what district they're running in. And we're going to have what few results we have posted there so you can see who actually filled out the survey and who did not. And so, guys, this is where we are right now. Once again, this is our time to hold them accountable for their attacks on our gun rights, for what they did or did not do on behalf of the Second Amendment, and they are refusing to fill out our candidate questionnaire. Kurt Daudt is once again working on the backside to kill off pro-gun candidates, to stop the advancement of the Second Amendment, and to remove your guys' ability to hold these guys accountable for their actions should they make it to St. Paul and not follow through on their campaign promises. So, guys, print this off and give this to your candidate. Make sure they have filled it out. I'm going to go through the comment section here for a couple of minutes, guys. See what you guys, if you have questions, if you want to know if we've received candidate surveys from people in your district or whatever you have, please ask in the bottom. If you have questions about Kurt Daudt or anything I've talked about, please ask them right here in the bottom. I'll answer it for you right now while we're going live. Tom Hansen says, he's from Owatonna, he says, hold their feet to the fire. Refusal is a no vote. Dave Peterson, once again, says no compromise from Lonsdale. We have Doyle from Zimmerman, Mick from Zimmerman checking in. We have Tim and Chaska. Kirsty is on today. We have Jolene in Glenville. Patrick Pittman says, stay on them. You're dang right. That's what we need to do, guys. We need to stay on these candidates. We cannot back down. We cannot give them a free pass. We cannot just take them at their word. Gun rights are under attack every stinking day. And we do not need any more weak-kneed, spineless, do-nothing losers representing us in St. Paul. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Bobby says, for their own good, they should fill out our survey. They'll lose a lot of votes. Heck yeah, Bobby. That's what we're talking about in Roz Peterson's district in 2014. If she hadn't filled out our survey, she very, very, very likely would not be State Representative Roz Peterson, because we wouldn't have known where she stood on gun rights issues, and gun owners would not have known who was pro-gun and who was anti-gun in that race. So yeah, they're really hurting their own cause by refusing to fill out this gun rights survey. Mike says if they won't fill it out, vote them out. Paul checking in from Alexandria. Howdy, Paul. Brian from Crookston. Dave Polster says, when's the next gun rally? Dave, we will let you know. Barry, hey, saying what we're all thinking here, says Daudt should keep his mouth shut. Is he afraid of people being honest in their opinions? Candidates being honest in their opinions would be a good thing and a new thing also. Yeah, you're darn right. Yeah, absolutely. He's absolutely afraid of candidates going on record with us because he does not want us to be able to hold them accountable. He does not want you guys to be able to hold them accountable at election time, because he knows the MGR doesn't play nice. We don't play nice. This state is loaded down with Minnesota nice, or as some would call it, Minnesota passive aggressive. Well, Minnesota gun rights has taken an axe to the passive, chopped that right out of it. We're just plain old Minnesota aggressive. That's how we work. That's how we roll. And this is how we expose anti-gun legislators and hold people accountable. No more passive aggressive, no more freebies, no more, because this is how this works, guys. A lot of people who run organizations, whether it's gun rights organizations, tax organizations, pro-life organizations, whatever it is, they use the organization. They use the power that they have. And of course, the power is you. The power is our members and supporters. And they use that as a bargaining chip for their own personal gain. They use it to gain some sort of favor with politicians. Hey, do me a solid personally, and I'll make sure that all of our members are doing this for you. This is how most organizations are run, and they're run for the personal benefit of the people who run them. I think of people like what's his name, Strasser, Fester. That guy's always got that open sore on his face. We'll just call him Fester. Brian Strasser and Rob Daudt, the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Hey, they have state representatives who are on the dole from their PAC, and they have a personal vested interest in money making running their organization. It's pretty typical for organizations. For most, not for us. Not for Minnesota gun rights. We want pro-gun bills, and we want to hold these elected officials accountable, and we want to bring the hurt on anti-gun legislators at election time in their districts. So keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. We need to get these people on record. Brian says they're scared to fill them out. Wimps. Yeah, no kidding. Grow a spine. How hard is it to just go to St. Paul and be a man, be a woman, be your own person? I mean, my goodness. The spirit of America is just dead in so many of these people. It's frustrating as heck. Mick says, asking if Shane Mecklin running in 15B filled out the survey. Yes, Mick. Shane Mecklin did fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire, 100% pro-gun. And I do believe he filled out the Leadership Pledge as well. So, Mick, if you're watching still, yes, Shane Mecklin has filled out the survey 100%. Dave Peterson says, Daudt is spineless. He does nothing and also does not want to be held accountable for doing nothing. MGR members must not compromise our God-given rights. Yeah, I want to touch on Quisling Speaker Daudt real quick, you guys. Speaker Daudt. So much to be said about him, but here's what I do know. Here's what I know. He runs around, and he's doing this the entire election season, going, I have a perfect score with the NRA. I have never cast a bad vote on guns. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound great? I would vote for a guy who had a perfect score, who never voted bad on gun rights. You would think they're pro-gun. The problem is that Speaker Daudt is the freaking speaker, and that as speaker, he decides what bills get heard and what bills die, what bills live and what bills die. And so he doesn't want to pass stand your ground law. he doesn't want to pass constitutional carry for gun owners. But to him, he's sitting there going, I would be a fool to put these bills on the House floor and vote against them. I would lose my perfect record. I would lose my ability to say I've never cast a bad vote on gun rights. And so instead, he just never, ever, ever lets the pro-gun bills make it onto the floor. So he never has to cast a bad vote. And so in that way, Speaker Daudt can always decide what he gets to vote on and what he doesn't. He can always manipulate the process in St. Paul to maintain his perfect record, all the while stabbing gun owners in the back with a knife. This is happening. It happened all last session. It happened all the session before that. He was screaming at us like a madman in St. Paul. We were up there, my brother Chris, who is the director of MGR, we were up in St. Paul a few months ago during the legislative session. The news had just broken that Linda Slocum had introduced House File 3022, the terrible, huge gun control bill that had just been introduced that day. And we were shooting a live stream video telling you guys this bill's been introduced, and we were rallying the troops to stop this gun control from moving, guys. And Speaker Daudt comes out of his House chamber and starts screaming at Chris, screaming at him down the hallway because we were exposing Linda Slocum's gun control bill. Madness, absolute madness. You've never seen a bigger anti-gunner who flew a bigger pro-gun flag than Speaker Daudt. Absolutely incredible to see. He is what is leading the Minnesota House of Representatives right now, and he is the one who sent out the letter saying, don't fill out the Minnesota gun rights candidate survey. And now dozens and dozens and dozens of legislators, especially incumbents, are not going to fill out their candidate questionnaire. They're going to obey the speaker and do nothing. That's absolutely unacceptable, you guys. We cannot take that sitting down. Cannot do it. Can't do it. Mick says, do you ever have time to do any shooting? Mick, it's funny. Before I started working in gun rights, I used to run a backhoe. I did heavy machinery operating. Got pretty good at it, actually. Ran bulldozers and excavators. And I used to go shooting at a local shooting range in Northwest Iowa, where I was born and raised. I used to go shooting all the time. And now that I work in gun rights, I hardly ever make it to the gun range anymore. So guys, if you have a gun range, I'd love to go shooting. Just give me a shout. Send me a message. I'd love to swing down on a Saturday afternoon and go shooting with you guys. That would absolutely rock. So let's see here. Charles says, read the Constitution. It clearly states the Second Amendment is never to be infringed upon. Jail anyone and everyone who tries to infringe or make laws to restrict our right to bear arms. Well, they certainly should not be in a position of power. They should not be in the state legislature if they're going to be attacking our gun rights wholesale and totally spitting in the face of our forefathers and their intention for the freedom of this country. Mick says, what about Jeff Johnson for governor? Mick, I'm going to do another video on that probably tomorrow. Jeff has filled out our survey 100%. He was eager and excited to do so. He also filled out our leadership pledge and is basically screaming from the rooftops how supportive he is of the Second Amendment and is absolutely refusing to pass any gun control. He's very excited about supporting the Second Amendment and making sure gun owners know where he stands. So yes, Jeff Johnson has filled out our survey 100%. On the other side, Tim Pawlenty, nothing. No show, no go, not a word from the Pawlenty campaign. More than that, I was trying to contact them, Google them. There's no street address. They have no office open for grassroots folks to stop in there. I couldn't even find a phone number for the campaign. So if anybody, hey, T-Paw, if there's any Tim Pawlenty staffers watching this, or if Tim's watching this, hey, give us a phone call at the MGR office. 952-451-6115. We'd sure like to find out where Tim Pawlenty's candidate survey is, but we don't expect to hear from him because his record speaks for itself. It's bad. So That's what's going on right now with Jeff Johnson and Tim Pawlenty. Let's see here. Audrey's on. Glad to see you back. Glad to see you, Audrey. I swear, every time I go live, it's like going home. It's like going home. It's like going to visit a bunch of old friends and stuff. I love seeing you guys on here every day. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's see here. Mick says, I knew he was a good guy. Talked to him many times about guns and the Second Amendment. I assume we talked about Jeff Johnson. Again, we don't take politicians at face value, ever. We don't take their words just on the merit of their words. We know how people can lie and twist things. That's why we write the survey and they fill it out. So they cannot twist our words. They can't rewrite the questions to fit what they really mean, or somehow get out from underneath the hammer of gun owners should they decide to stab gun owners in the back. So it's good that he was talking good about the Second Amendment. It's so much better that he filled out the survey and put his signature, Jeff Johnson. He put it on there, clear as a bell, and has been very excited to do so. We have Kath from Minneapolis checking in. Rock on. Kirsty says he's scared of gun owners because he makes so many enemies. I can only assume you're talking about our beloved Speaker Daudt. Let's see here. People of Minnesota better wake up and start standing up to these losers who love to control us. Audrey, you get the comment of the night. You get the comment of the night. Kirsty's inviting us out to shoot at her company. Very good. I might take you up on that. See, Dave Peterson says Daudt sure puts a ton of effort. Oh, I lost it. Into making other representatives not have a mind of their own. Sure enough, the sheep follow. Time to do wolf shit. No compromise. Defend your rights. Make sure we are heard. Dave, it's actually tossed up between you and Audrey right now on who gets the comment of the night. You're darn right. Speaker Daudt goes to great lengths. He rules the Minnesota House with an iron fist. He's maintaining his death grip. His death grip of control over the Minnesota House is everything to Speaker Daudt. His ambition, his ego, it's all wrapped up in making sure that everybody in the Minnesota House does exactly as they are told. And so all these super pro-gun, conservative, fantastic heroes of gun rights are refusing to fill out their survey. I think of people like, I think of Eric Lucero, always a big talker of gun rights, always talking about constitutionalism, won't fight for gun owners, and once again, won't fill out his Minnesota gun rights candidate questionnaire. There are dozens of them doing this exact same thing, refusing to fill out the survey, doing exactly as Speaker Daudt tells them, and being a sheep. Yeah, I mean, they're the very definition. They follow and they go where they're told. Well, you know what? They're supposed to go where they're told by their constituents. They're supposed to go where they're told and do what they're supposed to do by you guys, right? They're the representatives. They represent the people. The people say, go there and say this. Don't do that. That's their job. That's their job. And no, they do what Speaker Daudt tells them to do. And that's just absolutely insane. And guys, that is the reason Minnesota, you know, this is a question we get a lot. In fact, I hear this question almost daily. What's up with Minnesota? Why is Minnesota always so purple? Why is it always so in between? Why can't we get anywhere positive in this state? Why does it seem like politics is all a great big mess and nobody seems to know up from down or right from wrong or what's happening around here? You know, while states like Iowa are passing stand your ground law, while states like North Dakota are passing constitutional carry law, while South Dakota passed constitutional carry through their House and their Senate. It was vetoed by their anti-gun governor, but the legislature did its job. While these states are passing pro-gun bills, why is Minnesota the only Midwest state that's always stuck here in this limbo? The answer to that is people like Kurt Daudt, who refuse to stand up for any of the principles that he's always parroting. He's always talking about lower taxes, right? He's always talking about defending the unborn. He's always talking about advancing the Second Amendment. He's always talking about creating more jobs. He's always talking about limiting government. Have you ever gotten a fundraising letter from Kurt Daudt signed by him? Oh, yeah, he says all these things. And every single year, he tells everybody in the legislature, this is how it's going to be. You're going to do what you're told. And everybody goes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so they kill off the pro-gun bills. They pile, nearly $5 billion in debt on top of us. Just last, or in the 2017 session or the 2018 session, they pile this crap on top of us. They don't do anything for the issues they promised to do. That is a problem with Minnesota, is that the Republicans, many of the Republicans refuse to actually follow through on their campaign promises. And these other states, it's incredible to watch, You go watch Representative Neville out in Colorado, gave one of the best speeches in defense of the Second Amendment while pushing for pro-gun bills out there that I've ever heard. We see this all across the country. In Wyoming, they passed Stand Your Ground law under Senator Anthony Bouchard, who fought tooth and nail to pass Stand Your Ground. In Iowa, we had Senator Rick Bertrand, been fighting for years for Stand Your Ground, got it passed, a warlord of the Second Amendment. In Missouri, same story. Eric Burleson, Representative Burleson down in Missouri, fighting like a madman against his own caucus, against his own Republican leadership, fighting for the Second Amendment. And thanks to tens of thousands of gun owners, the Missouri Firearms Coalition, which I have volunteered with from time to time, thanks to those organizations and stalwart leaders like Representative Burleson, Missouri now enjoys Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry law. It's one of the best pro-gun states in the nation. And so right here in Minnesota, though, what do we have? A few people paying lip service, and everybody else has got their head up there. Anyway, moving on. This is what the problem is with Minnesota. They won't do what they're told. They don't do what they promise they will do. And so this only emboldens the left. It only emboldens radical anti-gun leftists like Ron Latz and Dave Pinto and heck, even Governor Marblemouth. It encourages them to go on the offense, to attack our gun rights with everything they've got. And they're doing a good job, but gun owners stopped them last session, guys. That's the problem with politics in Minnesota, is that Speaker Daudt and his leadership team and the weaklings who run the Minnesota House refuse to actually fight for gun owners. But guys, again, it's election season. Now is our time to hold them accountable. You guys give us the resources we need to go on the offense to expose anti-gunners, but we need to get these people on record, and they're being told not to fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey. That's what they're being told. We need to get them to fill it out so we can educate gun owners on where these people stand. So we're going to be putting up the list very, very shortly. What few surveys we do have will be going up on our website very, very shortly. But ask your candidate, did you fill out the MGR survey? If they say yes, come back and look, see if the results are up there, check it out. But do it anyway. Print the survey off right here. The link is right here in the comment section. It's on top of this video as well. Print off the survey and just have one handy. Take it with you to your local parade. Take it to your local Eggs and Issues, your local candidate forums, and ask them, did they fill it out? And if they say no, say, here's a copy. Fill it out. You want my vote? Fill out the MGR survey and tell them on paper with your signature where you stand on gun rights issues. Do that, guys. We have a month until the primary takes place. We need to know where the heck these people stand. And if they refuse to fill out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Survey, you can darn well be sure if they make it to St. Paul, they will not fight on behalf of gun owners, because they're not even there. And they're already listening to House leadership and doing exactly as they're told by the powers that be, not you guys. So keep that in mind. Guys, I'm going to log off for right now. If you're not already a member of Minnesota Gun Rights, please join up. Please sign up. If you already are, renew your membership anytime during the month of July. You get a free Minnesota Gun Rights candidate. said the word so many times. You get a free Minnesota Gun Rights t-shirt, and membership decal comes free with any level membership that you buy during the month of July. So hop on there, sign up, become a member of Minnesota Gun Rights, help us fight back. We will put every penny that you give us to work exposing anti-gun politicians and keeping the heat on these guys. See, Audrey says, they ever try to take our guns, they'll have one hell of a fight. People, get these deceitful people out. Yeah, that's what happened in 2018. They were fighting like crazy to pass gun control. Our representatives weren't doing anything. I mean, nothing. Literally nothing. Nobody would open their mouths in defense of gun rights during the 2018 session. So you know who did? You guys and thousands of other gun owners who contacted them, who heard about this crap through our email programs, through our Facebook programs, through our direct mail programs, where we're always putting information out. You guys stopped the gun control. And yeah, they had one hell of a fight last session, and they lost. They lost because gun owners took the reins and made sure nothing got passed. Not Speaker Daudt, not any of these legislators who would claim to be the great defenders of the 2A. They don't exist. They don't exist. So hop on our website, minnesotagunrights.org. Become a member on our website, minnesotagunrights.org. Sign up, become a member, become a contributor, join our grassroots army. Help us keep these people, keep their feet to the fire, hold them accountable for their actions, or as we see now, with them refusing to fill out the survey, their lack of action. They won't fill it out. They won't fill it out. So we got to make sure they know that gun owners are not just going to take that crap sitting down. And we're not just going to take, I'm rated NRA perfect. That doesn't mean anything to gun owners. Kurt Daudt has a perfect score from the NRA, and he is one of the biggest anti-gun rhinos that ever walked the halls of the Minnesota House. So it doesn't mean much to us. It doesn't mean much to you. So guys, I'm going to sign off for now. Print this survey off. Give it to your candidates. Make sure they fill it out and get it back to us so we can let gun owners know where they stand. Don't take your feet off their necks. Don't take their smiles and their handshakes at face value. If they're not willing to put their name on paper, then they're not going to fight for gun owners if they make it to St. Paul. You could be darn sure about that. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. I'm going to sign off for right now. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good night. Stay active. Stay mobilized. Thank you for your support. I love you guys. It's my pleasure to fight for you guys and to work here at Minnesota Gun Rights. We're going to keep the heat on. Help us get on board, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic night.